Alright y'all, I had to make this video. As most of you know, I love my desserts. And one of the things I use the most in desserts is almond flour. Well, I get comments all the time about, oh, you're just eating all the oxalates. All the oxalates are gonna get you. And oxalates has become quite a buzzword lately, and a lot of people are talking about it. So I just want to throw my 2 cents worth in, and some people are gonna say my advice is worth what you paid for it. So there you go. But I want to talk about what are oxalates. Are oxalates bad for you? People that can have oxalates, people that maybe shouldn't have oxalates? And does any of this really matter? And why might people be trying to get you to stop eating oxalates? If you were coming for a recipe video thinking I was going to show you how to make oxalates, well, you might want to click off now. But for the rest of you that have questions about oxalates, having people tell you you shouldn't eat them, or whatever the case may be, or if you just want a resource to share with people that may say that oxalates are out to get you, this is for you. Stick around. So first of all, what are oxalates? Oxalates are compounds found in certain foods, and your body even produces oxalic acid on its own. There's all kind of foods that contain oxalates: spinach, a lot of fruits, a lot of leafy greens, a lot of vegetables, nuts, grains, and oxalate-rich foods have been eaten throughout history. Now, if you're one of the ones that believe that all our ancestors ate was meat, then I can just tell you, you are sadly mistaken. There's research that shows that some people had less than a handful of meat a week. I mean, think about it. You got people running around with crude weapons, like spears that they've taken rocks and sharpened off to try to go around and kill animals. You ain't gonna be real successful. The animal's probably gonna kill you before you kill it. And when they did get one, they ate like kings. But I would say it's far easier to go and eat some plants to sustain yourself than it is to maybe go sometimes weeks without having any meat. The hunters and gatherers were more gatherers than hunters. They got about 30% of their calories from meat on a yearly basis. A lot of the foods that contain oxalates are nutrient dense, like spinach. They also tend to be higher in fiber. Now, for the majority of people, and studies have shown this, oxalates are not a problem. I'll get to the people they may be a problem for in just a minute. And what happens with oxalates inside the body? Well, your kidneys will filter them out and you'll pee them out. Your gut bacteria helps to break them down, so having a healthy gut will help. If you're eating a good, proper human diet, oxalate levels that you can eat are not enough to cause you any issues. And there's a couple of good reasons why. If you look at the amount of oxalates in the food itself, 41% of it is soluble, 59% of it is insoluble. So just take that right off the top. And there's a study, and I'll link all this down in the description for you so you can read it for yourself. Don't take my word for it or anybody else's, especially if they don't give you any proof. But a study says that less than 6% of all oxalates that go into the body even get absorbed by the body. So you're talking about a minuscule amount. So for example, a half cup of cooked spinach has like 750 milligrams of oxalates. So 6% of that's actually getting absorbed. And your body should filter it out. A cup of almonds, 460 milligrams of oxalates. 6% may get absorbed. So the liver and kidneys work together to kind of get rid of these out of the body. So why are people even talking about this as being an issue? Well, there's a small percentage of people that probably shouldn't eat oxalates, but even those people have ways to mitigate the effects of oxalates. So the ones you don't pee out, in the digestive system, they bind to calcium and form compounds that you poop out. So you got a couple of different ways that your body likes to get rid of oxalates. Now, who might have a problem with oxalates? So with people with weakened kidney function, or that are prone to having kidney stones or have kidney stones, I wouldn't recommend oxalates. Now, this is a good time for me to let you know that I am not a medical professional, but I am a certified nutritional consultant, I'm a master herbalist, and a certified holistic health practitioner. So through my studies, I feel I am qualified to at least give my opinion. Always check with your doctor and do your own research. So one of the biggest things that people worry about with oxalates is kidney stones forming. One of the things that causes the stones to form is dehydration. If you don't have enough urine output, then there's nowhere for them to go. So being properly hydrated will help that as well. And people that have any kind of malabsorption disorders like Crohn's disease, celiac disease, or any kind of gastrointestinal problems should not be doing oxalates, because your gut bacteria is not able to properly process that to get it out of your body. The blanket statement that nobody should eat oxalates is just simply not true. And studies have proven that. If you don't get enough calcium intake, it's also a problem. And if for some reason you can't have calcium, I would recommend eating lower amounts of oxalate. And people that have like candida overgrowth or any kind of gut bacteria overgrowth probably shouldn't do oxalates, just because the bacteria may not be there that breaks down the oxalates in the body. But now we're talking about larger amounts. So urologists have said now that across the board oxalate restriction is no longer recommended, even for people with kidney stones. So if you have kidney issues, make sure you talk to your urologist about this and see what they think. And the reason they've come to this conclusion is because half the oxalates that are actually in the urine are produced by your own body and not from the food. Kind of like cholesterol. So your urologist can do a test for high amounts of oxalates in your urine, and they only will recommend getting 100 milligrams or less, which, remember the 6% rule, in their diet for people that have high levels in the urine. So get that checked out if you're concerned about it. So what can you do if you're worried about oxalates? Well, the number one thing is get enough calcium, because calcium-rich foods bind to those oxalates in the gut and prevent them from being absorbed. Also consider cooking any of your high oxalate foods if you're concerned about it. The oxalates will be leached out into the cooking water and then they're gone. So some of the keto foods that we all know and love, like spinach, almonds, almond flour, chocolate, chia seeds, all contain oxalates. But for the people that are telling you should avoid all oxalates, well, I've seen a lot of pictures on their pages of them eating bacon, and guess what? Bacon has oxalates. Any of your processed meats have oxalates. So if you're for real about it, don't let me see any pictures on your page of you eating bacon and telling people not to eat high oxalate foods. That little bit of spinach ain't gonna hurt you any worse than bacon. So let's go ahead and address the almond flour issue, because that is the one thing that everybody seems to want to talk about, is almonds. Oh, and the fact that almond flour is processed. Okay, let's talk about processed for a minute. The steak you're eating is processed. Unless you're out in your backyard gnawing on a cow, you gotta have processing. And I won't get into all the things you have to do to bring that steak to your table, but it's pretty simple and it's common sense. And there's a difference in being processed and ultra processed. If it's a process you can do in your own house or your backyard or whatever the case may be, it ain't really processed. Now there's a process to making almond flour. You're gonna take almonds, you're gonna put them in boiling water and blanch them. You're then gonna dehydrate them to get all the liquid out of them. You're gonna powder them up, and you've got almond flour. Now, can that process be done in your kitchen? It could be. Would it suck? It would. I don't want to go through all that when I can go to the store and get a bag of it, but it's the same process. And like I said earlier, by boiling it, you get a lot of the oxalates removed. And of the ones that you don't, 6% are going to get absorbed by the body, if that, depending on what you do. Now, there's a few more things that you can do if you're really worried about the oxalates. And the main concern I've heard about the oxalates lately is the kidney stone formation and things like that. They've already disproven the whole autism theory. They've disproven a lot of health conditions that people have said that the oxalates will cause. So you can throw all that out the window. The one thing that has been shown is the kidney stones, but there's ways to get around it. I've mentioned some already, but I'll give you a couple more. You can supplement with antioxidants if you want to. If you're not getting enough in your food, things like alpha-linoleic acid, which you can get naturally in food, vitamins A, B1, B6, vitamin E. A good multivitamin is going to give you all that. You should be getting probiotics in your diet already. Yogurts, cottage cheeses, fermented foods. You should be eating that kind of stuff anyway. Now, I'm going to get into some more things like that in this coming year. Make sure you're properly hydrated. Hopefully you've seen my video about how to make your own electrolytes. I'll leave it linked up there or up there. Not sure exactly where it's going to be, or down in the description, or both. Getting collagens and glutamines are going to help out. So all your animal proteins that people are saying are the only things you should be eating are actually going to help with this anyway. So the people that are telling you shouldn't be doing oxalates and just eating the meats are partially right. I think you can have the oxalates and eat the meats, because the meats are going to have the glutamine that's going to help with the oxalates. The glutamine just ensures that your gut health is up to par. So that and the fermented foods, you should have a healthy gut. You shouldn't have any issues. Ricotta cheese, the cottage cheese, the yogurt, like I said. Getting enough magnesium, which you should have in your electrolytes, helps. Ox bile helps. And ox bile is one of the things in digestive enzymes. If you've ever had any digestive issues and taken that before you've healed it through your proper human diet, you don't actually have to get the bile out of the ox. They do make that in a pill form. And plenty of zinc. So my take on the oxalates, as long as you do the things I told you, it shouldn't be a problem. Again, check with your doctor if you think it is. But there's no huge incidence of kidney stones in vegans, and they eat a ton of high oxalate foods. I think they would be the case study we would want to look at, but we just throw the baby out with the bathwater and say, oh, you shouldn't eat any of them and just eat meat and salt. And listen, I just want to make clear that I am not against that at all. If you can do that, that is fantastic. If you're a lion diet, carnivore, keto, without the oxalates, that is all fine with me. I think if 60-70% of the world were low carb and just cut out all the ultra processed foods, the world would be a whole lot healthier place. Find what's right for you on the spectrum of the proper human diet. But don't be scared to death by people that tell you that if you have an almond flour cookie, then you're going to somehow harm your health. Take all my tidbits of information, use that, and I think you'll be just fine. Make sure you give me a like if this is helpful for you. I just wanted to make this because I've gotten so many comments about it. Share it with somebody you think it might help. If you're interested in stuff like this, I've made a lot of other videos about this and similar topics. I'll put that playlist right here. I think there'll be some good stuff in there you'll enjoy. And take control of your own health. Don't be scared to death because somebody tells you you should be. See you on the next video.